Hey guys, welcome to Mouths on the Merrimack. I'm Captain Chris Velasquez here with
Dan Diodati.
and we're going to switch gears up a little bit today, guys. We've been talking about boats, we've been talking about saltwater fishing. We got to kind of spread the wealth a little bit here, huh, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's anglers that fish all different kinds of shapes and sizes of water, and today we are on to the sweetwater.
Yeah, and I'm very thankful today. Although we had a big snowstorm early in the week, we were able to reschedule it, and we got you guys might recognize them. Some of our freshwater fans out there. Okay, we got Sean and Andrew from Real Northern Bass Talk. What's going on, fellas?
How you doing, boys?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Good.
Awesome.
Can't wait to just fish this weekend.
Yeah.
You're getting into it, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Do we have a big snowstorm coming on tomorrow?
Man, I don't give a shit. It's not going to stop us.
That's what we like to hear.
I'll be out there all day tomorrow, snow blowing, make sure the boat's clear. It's not going to snow down on the Cape, so I'll hook up the boat and head down first thing Sunday morning.
Oh, there you go, man. I got to do more freshwater fishing just so I have that kind of ability to do it.
It's nice. It makes the winters go by a lot faster. We've only missed 2 weekends of fishing so far.
No kidding.
And if I don't fish this Sunday, then it'll be 4 weeks before the next trip, and I can't wait that long. So
You guys must have very understanding wives and stuff at home, huh?
I do. He's a little more free agent-y.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
No, I'm a free agent.
Well,
I'll
you know what I
take
mean.
That's funny. So obviously you're the 603 Bass guys. So Granite Staters, Southern New Hampshire. Is that where you're from?
Yep.
Yeah,
right,
smack
awesome.
dead in the center,
Oh wow.
right at
So-
the bottom.
Wait, smack dab in the center, right at the bottom. All right.
That's New Hampshire for you.
Oh, so you live in northern Massachusetts?
Yeah, pretty much. Flatlanders, what everybody else in New Hampshire calls us, because we're just down and we're in Milford, in that little valley. So every time we're from New Hampshire, you talk to guys up in the lakes, and you're like, no, you guys are Flatlanders. You're northern Mass. It's like,
I never heard that before. Flatlanders.
So
We're
before we get
nobody.
into fishing, though, and because we have a lot of questions, Chris and I, because there's a lot that we need to learn about fishing on freshwater. Tell us a little bit about what you guys have going on with your content that you've been putting out.
do you want to start?
There's a lot.
Yeah, go for it. We get all night, buddy.
I mean, it's like where we started everything. Like,
Yeah,
everything.
let's get some history.
I mean, you can start because you really started the
All
whole
right,
thing.
I'll start and you can elaborate.
Right.
I'm trying to think. I think the channel itself started in 2015 because I had a shit job situation that was just I was completely depressed. And prior to that, from 2009 to about the end of 2013, we actually had a really big gaming channel, and we were doing like Call of Duty, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 stuff. And my buddy got burnt out like 2012. I tried keeping it going until 2014, and I got burnt out on it. And then my job situation changed, and I was miserable. My wife was like, "You need a creative outlet again." So she surprised me with a GoPro one day. She's like, "Try making fishing videos, see what you think." All right, I can do that. And I didn't really know as much then still as I wanted to, but I figured I can do some cast to catch videos. That'd be fun. So I got to started doing that. And then, there'd be a couple of instances where I was like, okay, this is fun. I know what I'm doing with jigs and stuff. I'll throw my 2 cents in about what I'm doing with it. Maybe I'm doing something different. And that just continued to grow and I just expand on what it was doing. And I'm always constantly driven by trying to learn more. Like every time I go out there, I'm trying to learn something. I'm enjoying myself on the water every time I do it, but I always have a goal to try and learn.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. And for a long time, that was literally all I did. I was like, oh, you know what? I still don't know how to catch fish on a jerkbait. Work on that. Okay, now I'm covered from 50 to ice in. Okay, but now I got to work on that 45 to 50 degree water temp window, and just it kept going and going. Before I know it, we got to a point where I was like, damn, we actually
Catch fish at pretty much any temperature.
yeah, and any condition. So we just started talking more and more about what we know, because I did have help from some close friends, but I made the mistake of trying to get into the tournament scene and trying to learn that way. That was a mistake because of the clubs I specifically tried to join and tried to become friendly with these people and learn, and they're not friendly. Tournament guys, they don't.
Yeah, they don't want to tell you where anything
money
is
on the
or
line.
where-
No, they don't. And it's all these guys that they'll.
It's like the old ninth green at 9 trick, right?
Just watch that movie.
You want to see Shooter? I want to kick his ass.
But it was just I had a bad experience. I was like, man, why are people so closed mouthed? So I was like, well, all right, I know a few things. I'm gonna just start talking. It just started gaining traction. People tell me I apparently have a way of communicating things well that people understand. So I don't even think about it that way. I vomit out what's in my brain. But apparently there's some structure to it. People understand what I'm trying to get across. So from that point, we come to where we are today. And it's just been, it's not so much formally educational, right? Like it's rare that I make a video where I sit down in front of the camera or either one of us sit down and we specifically talk about like the technical aspect of what we do. A lot of it is just like how we naturally fish.
Yeah.
And how we naturally fish is always trying to break down the pattern for the day. And that's where like kind of our bread and butter is. It's not very direct. It's just I let the natural flow of conversation happen throughout the day. I try and whittle that down to a few minutes, and then we back up what we're talking about by showing the actual success and progression throughout the day. And we kind of recap it like during the middle and during the end. And this year, trying to get a little bit more technical so we can kind of condense that down from our typical 18, 20-minute video to like, 5-minute videos.
Yeah.
Just to kind of change things up a little bit and take the whole culmination of everything we learned and make it more easily accessible for the larger portion of people.
All right.
So that's the last 8 years in a nutshell.
We're
But
just two guys that like to catch bass.
Yeah, you're
Film
going
it
out and
talk
figure it
about
out.
it.
Yeah.
It's really all it is, and then just with our podcast and everything, just to help educate people.
Yeah, definitely.
And
So it sounds like to me like it's been a lot of self-discovery though. They're just getting out there and fishing, time on the water. Like you must have some type of mentor though. Like who have you looked up to as anglers? Anyone we might know, or is it more or less?
the bigger bass that's out there.
Yeah, that's all it takes, right?
That's a big one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I got close friends that I look up to because they've either known more than I have for a longer period of time and are like, man, I want to be as universal and jack of all trades kind of angler like they are. And then like there's a couple of pros I would look up to. Brandon Polnick, just because he's an extreme northern guy that has done exceptionally well all over the country at the highest level. Someone like G-Man, Jared Swindle, Gerald Swindle, he's just an all-around good dude. He's got like a phenomenal positive mental attitude. But
You look up to him because he talks more than you.
that's true. But other than that, I don't know. It's like nobody else because a lot of what we've done is just self-taught. Like I read a lot of articles 15 years ago, but then other than that, it was just like, okay, I have a foundation of understanding on pretty much everything. Now it's just the two of us. Like I look up to him more than I do anybody else because he can still do things that I strive for. And he I swear to God, he's got this like magnet in his arm that just draws in bigger fish on a regular basis than I do because he's patient enough for it. So I don't know. I don't really have anybody overly specific between those two pro anglers and
Yeah, it's
Andrew.
pretty specific. Specific enough.
Yeah.
Now, were you guys friends growing up before this, or did you meet through fishing?
We
No,
knew who each other were,
Yeah.
are,
You knew each other somehow.
and because I grew up at the skate park,
Yeah.
and he skateboarding, he same thing but biking.
yeah.
So we always saw each other, and then our mutual friend Josh, we started fishing together, and then he said he was going out with Sean, and I was like, "Ooh, I want to go." So we called him up, and then we started fishing together, and then Josh kind of got burnt out from fishing.
Then you kind of realize three's a crowd on the boat.
We made it work though. I'll fish 3 all day as long as it's 3 people that know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you there.
And then we just started fishing together, and like a lot. And then like every Sunday he'd text me, "Hey, want to go fishing this weekend?" Yep.
It's not even a text. It's like we'll play video games together Friday night or Saturday night, and it's like, all right, so these are 3 options. Where do you want to go this weekend? And one of the two of us throws that question out like every weekend. So we're just like constantly trading off. Like, where are we going Sunday? It's not if, it's not when, or it's where.
Like we're like whether we fish throughout the week or not, Sunday is always a go.
Sunday's always
Sunday,
the
it's like
go to church,
like,
right?
That's it.
It's like people going to church.
Yeah.
We go fishing.
That is the church, right?
Pretty much.
Do you guys ever like where you gonna go? On 3, 1, 2, 3. John Stamos.
You know what? We have done that a few times
Yeah.
where like
We look at each other, we're like, we're going there. Yeah, we're going there. We do that more often than not.
So you talk about going down to the Cape. So obviously you guys are traveling to different bodies of water. Like how many lakes have you fished?
oh god,
Hundreds, thousands?
hundreds. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, a lot.
from the lakes region south, we've covered pretty much everything except for like this very southeastern corner of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Going anywhere past Manchester towards the coast, I try to avoid it because it's crowded. There's a lot of people, a lot
And
more
the
people out
drive
there.
just sucks.
Oh, the drive sucks
Yeah.
in the worst way.
Highways that way just garbage.
Yep.
Sorry to bring you out here.
You know what though? This time of the night, it's fine. It's that afternoon drive home,
Oh, it's brutal.
and that's why I just avoid it. And especially like if I go 30 minutes,
Yeah, if you're coming from there on a Sunday afternoon, everyone coming down, and like, yeah,
101's a killer.
Yeah.
It's just, it sucks no matter how you cut it. Versus if I go 30 minutes west of my house from Milford, I mean, dude,
There's no true highways. It's just all fast back roads.
yeah,
Correct,
but then
Gotcha.
we have like 20 within 45 minutes of my house. We probably have 20 to 30 lakes to choose from, and I can put my big boat in every single one of those. I don't always need to use my outboard, but it's like so we do a lot that way, and that's just kind of the type of fishing I grew up with. So I gravitate more towards north and west when I can. And we'll go over there. But then we've just been traveling a lot more lately. We go to Vermont a lot. We've done quite a bit in Massachusetts, just going like directly south from Milford. There's tons of places like in central and western.
Like that
Mass.
Fitchburg, Worcester area.
We've been there, yeah.
Yeah, I went to school at Fitchburg, so we used to like ice fish a bunch of lakes back there.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then in the
Actually, we had-
springtime, kind of kick around.
We
so.
were in, where the hell were we? Worcester?
Worcester, yeah.
What, like a month ago?
Was that? No, when was that first snowstorm? That was December, I think. It was, yeah, it was the end of December. It was, it
So a
was kind of
couple
late in
months
the year.
ago.
And yeah, that drive home sucked. We pushed it a little
Yeah,
too
pulling
long.
the trailer, driving in a snowstorm.
Just people being dumb when they drive in the snow.
Oh, yeah, because I got dropped off in my truck. And
Yeah.
you drove home alone and you almost got in an accident.
Yeah, because that idiot woman decided that I can totally cut off this dude with a boat in two-wheel drive. Oh wait, no, I can't. And she spun out in the middle of the road in front of me. I had to put my truck and boat off the
it's
side of the road to
awful.
avoid. I stopped a foot from behind. Behind her
Was
foot.
the boat okay?
Everything was fine. I was more concerned with my truck. I just got a brand new Tundra. It was only like 3 months old at this point. I'm like going off the road. I'm like, oh god, here we go.
There was one day schoolie striper fishing last year. The docks weren't in yet, and I launched my boat, and I'm driving home on the trailer, and this lady just all of a sudden out of nowhere just like pulls out, and she's about to hit my boat, and I like at that moment I knew that if I actually went left, the ass end of the boat would have went right into her. So I went the other way and like wiggled around, and just the guidepost on the trailer like took off her front bumper.
Oh
Oh my
jeez.
God.
Yeah, and I get out and I just immediately run down. I'm just like running down and I just look at the boat. Like, what's going on? Yeah. I was like, oh, thank God.
On that topic, I will digress for a minute. Have you ever actually had your boat hit? Because I have.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
god.
I don't even know if we could talk
I'd be
about
in
this,
jail
but
for
no.
murder at that
Yeah, you
point.
got
I
hit
think.
twice.
I forgot about the second time. Second time is kind of like nothing. I've had a boat totaled towing it.
Oh my god.
So we were going to a spot. We did a video on it this past spring. We call it Reversing the Bad Luck on this Lake. The very first time I tried going there was 2009. And turning off of Route 101, it's kind of just a terrible spot. It's out western New Hampshire, but right off of 101. And this woman just flew up behind me and didn't see it was turning off. And she rear-ended the boat. But like I had turned the car, like I was driving my wife's Highlander, and I was almost completely 90 to traffic. So the boat was at like 45.
Yeah.
Plowed right into the back of it, doing almost 40. And it hit the boat and spun it. And all of a sudden, next thing I know, like I heard the noise, but I didn't feel it because it just carried the momentum. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what's going on? As the car's turning, and I look up in the rearview mirror in time to see the boat right up on its side and then flip right over on top cap.
no.
Totaled it right in the middle of 101.
And that's a
got a
shitty
new
corner, too.
Did you get a nice new boat from that? or
Not
what
quite
happened?
new. My dad got that boat for a steal. It was an 88 Tracker.
Oh,
the
yeah,
last
that
year they built the
sucks.
fiberglass ones.
Okay.
So like a month later,
What
I
did,
ended
did
up.
it have like a 300 horsepower engine on it?
That would've been
I heard SpaceX is making these guys some engines.
Yeah, at the boat show, I saw that 600 that they're making.
Yeah.
They got one of those on a bass boat.
Oh my god!
They put it on there, man.
Well, they would.
You do 140.
We lucked out. We ended up finding a 94 Ranger 488 VS, so it was 20 and a half foot boat with I think it had a 175, no, 150 on the back.
No, it was 175.
The Johnson? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it was 175 and for like $8,500 out in Keene. And it was in kind of rough shape, but structurally the thing was sound. So we ended up getting that. And then that finally led to me getting my first pickup truck because now my wife's Highlander wouldn't tow it because it was just too big.
Yeah.
Honey, we got to get a new truck now. I don't know. You want to use the boat? We got to get the truck.
Same thing. I got a new boat. I got a new truck. They kind of go hand in hand.
Damn right.
Yep. So when you get a bass boat, though, what's your ideal platform? Like, to me, they kind of look all similar. You know, like the fishing platform. Obviously, it's almost like a floating dock, really, when you think about it. There's not
yeah.
much to get in your way. But like, is there anything in specific in the layout that you look for, like storage wise or live well wise, or?
You've been, I can answer this just as well as you, but you've been looking at this so much, you can really
I've been
expand
really
on
looking.
that.
I've been looking for, I mean, something that can hold all my rods.
Yeah.
If we're traveling somewhere and I need to literally bring everything, there's enough room. Like even his boat, we can pretty much fit everything we got.
If I took out those rod tubes inside
Right.
the rod locker, we could probably put 30 fishing poles in there.
Right.
And that includes like 8.5 foot swim bait rods too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good.
But for rod storage, I want something that's at least 8 foot. Because the swim bait rods and everything, those are 7'11", I think.
Yeah, all the ones I have two that are exactly 8 feet.
Yeah.
And there's a couple I've looked at that are, I think, 8'4"
Yeah, I've been looking at some of those too. But that and like a good live well, something that's going to keep the fish healthy.
Yep.
It just all the storage and the way that it's laid out and the way that I want it to be. Like if I catch a fish, where's the net going to be sitting? Like it's got to be accessible. It can lean up against something. This just like those small things that I look for personally.
Yeah. And then
And a good space to flip the fish in.
well, and then now you get into the aspect of like budget and stuff, and it's like, okay, well, everybody love a 21 footer with a 250 on the back, but if you can't get that, then the next thing that I always looked at was fishing stability. I've been in some 17-foot nitros that if you're not standing like dead center right
Yeah.
above the keel, that thing like just setting the hook and the whole boat's like, whoa, it rocks like crazy. So trying to find something that has good stability that like even my Skeeter, it's a ZX200, it's a 19.5 foot. Like, I'm not a small person, but I can set the hook as violently as I want. He doesn't notice in the back. The boat just doesn't move.
Yeah,
And that's important to me more than, say, speed. Other guys are, like, much more focused on, like, I want a 20-foot boat with a 250, tourney loaded, so, to the gills with tackle and stuff, and two guys, a full tank of gas, I can still do 80. And that's more important to them. But, like, front deck space is important. So the two of us, we can literally fish shoulder to shoulder at the very front of the boat. And it's a little cramped, but it's doable. So like those are the other aspects that I look into when I'm looking at boats.
I mean, if I'm I'm actually currently looking for a boat, and I'm specifically looking for like an 18 to 19 foot aluminum, because I'm probably not going to be going out on the big lakes alone unless I'm with him.
That's what I got my boat for.
And I'll be going out on decent sized water. Like I'm not going to be taking out on a Winnie or anything on the Tuesday.
I say no, you could as long as the
mean, it
wind's
could.
not up. I like a Sunday, it might be towing
Yeah,
the line.
I mean-
Wind like out of the northwest, 15 plus, probably towing the line.
Yeah, personally, I just don't like that lake.
Yeah, no.
So, but I'm looking for something where I can bring it in the backwaters and like I can kind of ding it up, not really care about it, and just because that's what my old boat was. It was of an 18-foot. What is it? An Allegro.
Yeah.
It was some RV company made these boats as like a tow along type of thing, and one of our buddies had one, so I bought it off him for like $1,500, and I
Solid.
threw a 101 foot-pound thrust trolling motor on it.
Oh my God, the thing must have buzzed around.
36 volt. The motor runs,
Yeah.
but when I got it, the magnets in the stator or in the flywheel, 'cause the stator or whatever it is, they were all junked up in there. So I bought a new flywheel, which took forever to find because it's like a 1990 Mark 115,
Yeah.
and I couldn't find any parts for it under like $600. So I finally found a flywheel for it for like $100. I bought it, put it on, cranked it over, starter died. I was like, and the
Welcome to boat ownership.
the starter for that boat's like $350. It's
Yeah,
like,
no
Jesus.
kidding.
And the reman ones are just junk, so
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So I ended up literally taking a rope, wrapping it around the flywheel, and that's how it started.
And you would
Just
pull start it. Yeah.
I'll start in a 115.
Oh my God. Had to take some power.
It worked. It actually pulled really easy, and it started on the third pull every time. It's a pretty ghetto setup, but I would take that thing to literally anywhere.
So if you're looking for aluminum boat, do they have like aluminum boat that are bass boat styles? Because I know.
Yeah, so kind of like a Lund or something like that.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Do
kinda
they
have,
have
like-
more of a deep V, the aluminum ones, or you can get them whenever?
They have like flat bottom ones. They have V holes. They got
Yeah.
And then kind of like a hybrid, but like that
Kinda,
newer
yeah.
trackers where it's kind of very fiberglassy, where it kind of comes down to a V, but it's not pronounced like a traditional Lund you would think of.
Correct. Yeah.
That would have, I forget the term for how high it sits up off the water, not from surface to the top of the gunnel. Forget what that would be called.
I tell you, my buddy Mike had a 16-foot Alumacraft, and he just striper fished with it. Right where we went fishing that day, you guys came out with me in the river,
Yeah.
dude. And he went from like his family had like they had a 24-foot center console, then they got like a 30-foot sport fisher like a lures, and then that's when about the time we were like out of college and starting to work. So he bought that little 16-foot aluminum boat. And let me tell you something, dude. That kid did all the fishing he wanted to do inside the river. He knows that river, every inch of it, in the back of his hand. And I got to fish on it with him a couple times before, his ex-girlfriend moved in and kind of ruined all that. Sorry, Mike. But anyways, yeah, and it was just that whole different vibe for me. You guys came on my boat, and like I'm dealing with 20 to 26-foot center consoles my entire life. But like the intimacy of that small boat, and I'll tell you one thing, walking up on that flat deck on top, man, it was weird for me. It was like a little nervous. I kept thinking I was gonna fall in every time I set a hook. I went back to cast. I mean, I'm pretty clumsy too, so I was expecting to go for a swim. So I'm always a little bit more cautious when I go on like those boats with the flat bows. When I went carbon fishing in Key West, that boat was beautiful. It was a 24-foot Islamorada fiberglass boat, dude. Gorgeous. The guy that I went with was actually supposedly helped design it, and but it had that really flat deck where there was like an inch of freeboard, and we're fighting 80 to 120 pound tarpon, dude. And I was getting more nervous. I was gonna step off the boat. I just wasn't used to it. I usually get caught by the edges,
Yeah, when we went out, when we had those like, what was it, 6-7 footers.
Yeah.
And I was like leaning up against. I was like, okay, this is kind of like a bass boat, but I can do this. I'm trying to do this. Oh shit.
Yeah, right there at the mouth when like at the whatever you call it, when the current was coming in against the tide, all of a sudden it was giant waves. I was like, it's actually really nice in this boat. This is kind of like 3 and 4 foot footers in my boat, but these are like 6 and 7. Feels like I don't think they were that big, but
I think if I remember correctly, it was kind of rough that day because that's when we finished up the day, right?
Yeah.
That was good. So yeah, I'll tag that in the comments here too. The YouTube video. These guys made a video coming out on Mandolin Charters last year. That's actually how we met.
Yep.
Through one of my clients, Dennis. So how do you guys know Dennis? He was supposed to come tonight. But...
I knew him because of him.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to if memory serves correct, we met through Facebook, and then we ended up finding out we were both posting on the New Hampshire NH Bass Fishing Facebook page. And we just got to talking, and then he started watching videos, and he's like, "Hey, I think you and I fish in the same area." So we got talking more and more, and then we realized we both live 2 miles apart.
Yeah,
it
was right up the road from us.
No kidding.
So we went fishing together one day, and I was just clicked immediately. I texted him. I was like, "Yeah, he's one of us. He's our people."
Oh yeah, he's a good dude. I think his first time he came out with me, brought the whole family, mom, dad. It was great. We had a blast.
He's a good dude. Knows how to throw a jerkbait.
Yeah, he does. Both you and him have taught me a lot about, or just helped to grow my confidence in throwing a jerkbait, especially the last year. This last fall was really good for a jerkbait bite. That was fun.
It's easy to do. Hey, you gonna throw that jerkbait yet?
Yes.
Nah, not yet. Hey, you gonna throw that jerkbait yet?
Yeah. Wait until you get 5 or 6 fish ahead of me.
You should probably throw that jerkbait right now. Okay, I'll try.
That's how we do everything. You can pick 1 of 3 baits at any given day. It's one of those 3 is gonna work, and then there's every once in a while where it's no, they're just gonna eat a jig, or they're just gonna eat a jerkbait. And jerkbait, second fish I ever caught was my personal best smallmouth of 5 pounds even on Newfound Lake, and that was 2015. And despite that, until 2 years ago, I still struggle with confidence with it. And so it's one of those we both do the same thing. It's you really should be throwing this. Cracks on their fish. We're not yet. Well, okay. Well, the moment you get 5 or 6 fish ahead of me, now we get a problem. We gotta pick it up.
Is it true that Newfound Lake's the cleanest lake in the country?
I don't know about that. I would have a hard time believing
anymore.
it, though. There's enough houses up there that I can't imagine that's
now
true.
It's all different anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, last time we were up there, the water just wasn't what it used to be.
No.
Really? Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and it was at one point. I know it was in the top 10 clearest lakes in the state.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, New Banoosit is still number 1.
Okay.
And I've heard that place is just stupid. I mean, Newfound's clear. You can, on a good day, typical day, you can see 15 to 20 feet down.
Yeah. And then all those people from Massachusetts got all the houses up there and
Flicking the cigarettes in there.
Oh no.
it's just a butt. Oh man. So when you guys when you're deciding where you're gonna go, what's your recon like? Are you using an avionics chart to learn the depths of certain areas? Are you when we put the boat in, we want to go here? Like, you just know if you've even never been there before?
We do a lot of research before, usually.
Yeah.
Like, we'll come up, usually, if, like, we usually know where we want to go due to the conditions from the previous trip that we've taken.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, so this should be like this. So this place should be good now.
Yeah.
Or this place could be better. And then we have like 3 or 4 places we're just kind of like thinking about going to. And then we start looking. And then sometimes we find a pond that's like a couple miles away from where we were looking. We're like, oh, actually, dude, check this place out. And we'll send like text back and forth. Then he'll look it up on Navionics and send me pictures of it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go there.
Yeah.
And then we kind of have a good layout of the land just by looking at like
That's
Google,
awesome. So,
Google
like, as
Earth
the
and
seasons
whatever.
change too, obviously water temperature is different. So, like what are you kind of looking for now, like this time of year when you do have that 40-degree water? Like, what depth wise and all that fun stuff?
It depends on what kind of body of water you go to, what the average max depth is,
Okay.
what it has for different contours.
Yeah, so it's more like a ratio, like proportion based type fishing. Like, they're probably going to be, like, if it's a 100-foot lake versus a 50-foot lake, like, fish could be at 50 feet in a 100-foot lake, but they'd be at 25 feet in a 50-foot lake.
Yes and no.
Okay.
It depends. A lot of that is driven by weather conditions, and it's a lot more predictable going from summer into fall, especially when you're talking about a deeper body of water, because they stay deep. Like, especially smallmouth. Like, once they get out deep in that middle summer pattern, they kind of stay there. They just go from the middle of the lake up towards main lake points, and the reason they do that is they're looking for transition areas. So as you get, how New England is with the weather in the fall and the spring, it's just wildly up and down. So when you get a couple of really warm days, if they're up against a 45-degree bank, they want to be, if it's a place that's like 60 plus feet deep, then like 40, 45 feet roughly is kind of their happy zone. Maybe upwards of 35. Sometimes they're on the bottom, but like that's kind of the general area we found them pretty consistently. But if you get like, 2 or 3 really, really warm days, those like unseasonably like 70 plus degree days in November that we get fairly often, all they have to do is just swim up the bank. And it's like, 50-foot swim, and now they're only in 10 feet of water, and they're in that really, really happy zone for water temp. And then the moment that cold snap hits, they just swim 50 feet back down, and they're back down there.
I'll be like, shit.
And then
I'll be back, guys.
But then, a smaller body of water, like I actually just posted a video about this today, and it's one of like our most consistent areas we've ever fished. Is your typical New England kettle pond, right? It's maybe 200 acres or less. Your average max depth is like 16 feet. But as long as you have a sizable area of that deeper water and then sharp transitions that then like have it. So in this case, I don't know, let's say it's 16 feet deep on a 150 acre lake, and you've got 50 plus acres where it's about 14 to 16 feet. And then you've got bigger, shallower flats that are 5 feet or less. They want to get up on those flats as soon as you get some nice weather, but it has to have a quick transition where it goes from that 5-6 foot right back down to that 12 to 16 foot quick.
Yep.
And it grand scheme of things, a 4 to 5 foot swing is not a big deal, but it is to a body of water like that. It's all relative.
Yeah.
Like that's a significant difference in depth for something that only gets to a max of 16 feet. So if you can find a nice spot where you've got that nice expansive flat and it's got something either hard structure like rocks or vegetation, that they can go in and kind of ambush bait from, because the bait are going to be more opportunistic than the bass, and the bass are just following their food. So all the bait move up, but they need to be kind of close to that transition spot. So say over a 300-foot stretch, they can get up 3 feet of water, but the moment that cold snap hits, 300 feet away, they're back down to 16 feet max. So like those are the kind of things we look for. If I find a pond that's like dead consistent for depth across the board, I avoid that like the plague, because that's 10 times harder, in my opinion, to break down, because everywhere and nowhere could be a spot. There's nothing unique anywhere that would set something apart. So we try to find places that have difference in contour changes. That's the big thing.
And it kind of makes sense too. Like you're talking about having that shallow lake that about 16 to 5, as opposed to something that's 60 up to 45, right? For the wintertime, because you look at those smaller lakes, they will warm up quicker on those spells that just jump up for a couple days where it gets pretty hot. So those fish are it's easier for them to move up into that feeding zone for a couple days and come back down. And it's crazy. Just we've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people in freshwater, saltwater, all different types of species of fish, and everybody is always talking about the relative deepness to shallow transition areas. Whether we've been talking about striped bass, largemouth, smallmouth, tuna fish, sharks, it's just something that's consistent between like every single fishery. And it makes sense too, because these fish want to spend as little amount of energy as possible and eat the most that they can when they have that opportunity.
Bingo.
You know, that's how they survive. That's how they get big. That's how they live. You know, it's the only thing they got to think about all day.
Eat,
Right.
eat, eat.
Yeah.
Sleepish. Eat, 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 eat.
So that's really cool. And confession, I never caught a smallmouth before. I
Really?
never have.
Oh my
No.
God, we have to
really?
take
Wow.
you. We have to take you out.
Dude, my freshwater experience since, I mean, I used to go all the time when I was a kid with my dad. Like, Sunday was our ritual thing. Most Saturdays, too. We were lucky. Mom let us out, you know? But then once we started probably striper fishing when I was like 7 or 8 and we got into the boat thing, the freshwater fishing just kind of went way down. So, like, nowadays I get to do a little trout fishing, and I'm always, like, excited to get out there my 3 or 4 times a year. But, like, yeah, smallmouth, man, I've never caught one.
Dude, pick a Sunday, any time of the year, we'll put you on a smallie. We'll put you on good smallies. Too.
Got you, brother. We got a couple of weeks coming up. We'll give you a ride. Let's check it out.
I remember from my childhood, my dad's always been a Lake Winnie guy, and like he had his buddy Al Smith, who's actually from Litchfield, which I don't think is too far from you guys,
No,
right?
it's only like 20
He,
minutes.
he did some tournament fishing, and he had a Ranger that had like a 200 horse motor on it, and the thing would go like 80 miles an hour. It was unbelievable.
Yep.
And we would have some awesome mornings because we'd wake up, I go fishing with him, and then we go on the boat like later in the day. And there would be mornings where we'd literally just catch like 30, 40 smallmouth. It was just like every cast, it seemed like.
Now you got to go through 30 or 40 rock bass before you get a smallmouth up there.
Yeah.
Up
it's,
there, yeah.
it's
No
bad.
kidding.
We were actually talking
Oh,
about
it's-
that on the way up here.
It's horrific.
All right, so explain to me what a rock bass is. That
So
the
it's
like-
largemouth? Is that the
Sounds-
red one, with the red
sounds
eyes?
invasive.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a
extremely.
It's like a smallmouth that fucked a bluegill.
Okay.
Spot
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass and he eats fucking everything.
Doesn't it really?
Oh, dude,
No kidding.
they absolutely decimate beds in the spring.
Yeah.
And they have an extreme overlap with smallmouth pretty much all season until you get to like middle of the summer when the smallmouth push like 40 feet or deeper. Then you really start to avoid the vast majority of rock bass, but they can still get down that deep. I mean, I think back, we went to the St. Lawrence River, 2019. I've been every year since 2019. He came with me 2019 and 2020. And was it the second year we went? We're fishing the river, and I caught that rock bass in 75 feet of water.
Yeah.
That was dumb. Like we pulled up behind this island, and it was just sheer cliff face. But then it kind of rolled down at the bottom, and looked at my finder, and all of a sudden I marked a bunch of fish. I'm like, oh, it's got to be smallmouth. There's no way it's anything else. Dropped down with a little solid thunk. I'm like, hell yeah. I leaned up into it. I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel right. And I pulled it up, and I looked at him. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Do they have red eyes?
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
so I also did a trip to Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, and it wasn't like walleye season, and there was a guy that had just made my stepfather hired to take us out, and we went bass and northern pike fishing, and we caught a shitload of those rock bass.
They're native out there though, in like in Great Lakes region and Champlain and stuff, but they're not as much of a nuisance because they have natural predators in pike and walleye. And
Yeah.
those fish, especially the pike, they'll eat a ton of them. Like we go to Champlain fairly often now, and even when we're out in the Great Lakes, like there's so many, but there's so many predators that they've been checked in balance. New Hampshire, there is no real natural toothy critter predator to them, so they've just been freaking exploding unchecked because they don't have anything. And this is something we keep talking about. Like I wish New Hampshire.
We got to stop putting pike in lakes, I guess.
That's literally what we want to do. It's like pike and
Hampshire-
walleye. It's
Oh,
like,
seriously!
you know
Like,
how crazy all the ice fishermen will go for walleye and love it?
Oh my god, it would be amazing.
And like,
Yeah, I wonder what the ecological impact would be if you did put a walleye in there.
the problem is that I think the walleye more than the pike would start eating the trout, and
Yeah.
New Hampshire is just 100%
the
trout
trout.
centric, which is annoying because it's. Unless I'm entirely mistaken, I believe bass fishing in the last few years overtook it as the most popular target species in the state. But the state still puts 100% of their resources into trout because, in their exact words, well, bass don't need help. They're a self-sustaining resource, whereas trout we need to constantly replenish or they're gone. Okay, well, let's rethink how we've been doing this for a long time and maybe put stronger restrictions on the trout, because if you're not constantly dumping millions of dollars back into this to keep them alive, then clearly there's a problem with how much are being taken out. And
They literally fly helicopters into remote ponds to drop trout in.
Really?
Yeah, they use helicopters to stock the lakes.
so it's like it sucks because they're still so trout centric that the idea of bringing in anything else that might hinder their ability to continue to flourish, they're just not going to listen to it, I don't think. But we're actually talking about it. I know two guys that are biologists with New Hampshire Fish and Game that I've met. I was invited up to New Hampshire Fish and Game this past summer to speak to a bunch of high school anglers just about, from my perspective as a coach for a team. So I want to reach out to them and see, like, what do we need to do to have, like, a genuine conversation with the state to start thinking about this? Because they keep just telling us, they've been telling us this for the last 6 years.
The only thing they've done is say that it's an invasive species and you can kill them.
Yeah, and don't worry, it'll balance itself out.
No.
It's done nothing but get worse every year. It hasn't gone back the other way yet.
Kind of like those Asian carp. Have you seen those videos?
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's invasive, unchecked.
Unbelievable. Is that a relatively new thing? Because I never really
Those
heard
Asian
about
carp?
it. No, the rock bass thing.
Oh, rock bass?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say within the last,
7.
yeah.
I want to say right around 2015 is, I mean, they've been in there a little longer, but about 2015, it was like, holy shit, what happened? It was like flipping a switch. It was like the
Like, we caught
population
100
tripled in
How do
one
you think it
season.
would-
We caught like
how did they even get
150
there?
rock bass one day.
One day?
And like 4 smallies.
Not even kidding.
Oh my God, that's wicked annoying, especially if you don't want them.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
And they just decimate things. The only cool thing about it was one day I was up there with John, not this past summer, the summer before, and we pulled up at a point up in Moultonborough Bay, and we started just like, okay, this is not it. And you give them the death spin. You literally throw them up in the air, like, and you kind of like snap your thumb really hard. You get them rotate at least 10 times, it's kind of general rule of thumb, and they'll die when they slap the water. And so that's what we were doing. We were throwing way up, death spin, they'd hit. After the 4th one, I was kneeling down to fix my drop shot. John was standing up right beside me, and he's same as me, he's 6'2". And I became aware of like a ruffling noise. And then 3 seconds later, I hear John just goes, holy fucking shit. And I look up and there's a bald eagle right over our heads flying by. So he saw us chucking up all the fish.
I've done that at Lake Umbigog. Like you
yeah.
knock a fish out, a kibby's out, and then a bald eagle just talons out. It's the coolest thing ever.
I think we got it to eat 6 rock bass. We'd pluck one up. So he perched up on the tree right beside us. And he's just like sitting there like, what are you doing? So we catch one, like we hold it up. And as soon as we like held the fish up, he was immediately like, ready. And we tossed it out. And he came right out and scooped it. It was awesome. But as to how they get in there, the standing theory primarily is from ice fishermen. So when you get all your shiners and they're that small, they're not very easily identifiable as to if it's actually a shiner or if it's a rock bass or if it could be something else. And that's why they say kill your bait when you're done at the end of the day. Don't dump it in the lake because it could be something invasive, rock bass.
Yep.
So that's the primary and I guess most common theory as to how they got in there.
Wow.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I just learned something new.
I do have another sweet bald eagle story though. I was duck hunting on the Merrimack River.
Yep.
And one came like straight in. I swear to God, it was gonna take a decoy, and it cupped up like right over me, and it was just like straight. And then that's when I saw like the sheer size of how big they really are.
Oh, yeah.
Because typically you're seeing them from a distance. It's like, oh, it's a big bird. Like, yeah, whatever. This thing was like, honestly, it was like a 5-foot wingspan.
Dude,
it was
they're huge.
absolutely massive, and then it just flew away. And I just turned and thank God there was another person there. I was like, Pat, did you see that? Like, that was crazy.
We've actually seen more bald eagles in the last 2 years.
Oh, really?
And, like literally almost every single time we go out, we see at least 2, 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
crazy.
great.
We saw a couple last week.
We did.
Carp fishing.
Yep.
Is it Mass that we've been seeing it more, or are we seeing more bald eagles and osprey in the same area, or is that Vermont, or both? I can't
Kind of
remember.
both. I mean, they're just kind of, and falcons too.
Yeah,
They're
you're right.
everywhere.
We've been seeing a lot more. It's
One
just
was behind the boat, just chilling, just like going back and forth, diving down. And remember that?
yeah. Remember last trip up to Newfoundland this past fall, and we're sitting there fishing. All of a sudden, like saw a bird go over, and then like a splunk, big splash behind us. I'm like, what the hell was that? And I looked back, there's a little bird dead in the water.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
that falcon was just circling over. I was like, holy shit, that bird just killed that bird.
Dude, so I had a guy on my boat last year. He worked for the Autobahn, and we're going under the bridge, and he gets his camera out, and he's looking up in the bridge, and I'm like, what are you looking for? He goes, oh, there's a nest up there for, I forget the name of the fucking falcon.
Peregrine falcon.
It was a parrot. I thought so. A
I saw
peregrine
one
falcon.
at Manchicora once. They're amazing. That's an amazing bird.
They're so cool.
And they eat birds. Like,
Yeah.
that's the only thing
Dude,
they eat on.
They
That's
can
crazy.
fall at like like whatever you like. They accelerated 9.8 meters per second squared.
Everything
They can
does.
build they can build up velocity to go like almost over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
like
crazy.
insane to just take out whatever's below them in the air or on the ground. It doesn't matter what it is.
Dude, predator birds are wicked fucking cool, man.
Cool. I
I don't
actually
care how old
shit.
you are, they're the coolest fucking thing on the planet.
They really
I remember,
are.
like when I was like 25 years old, I'm like, falconry? Like, what's this permit? And then I went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, falconry's fucking sweet.
Yes, it is.
This is literally like this guy with this like long wispy beard and this huge glove on, and just like blowing a whistle, and it's coming back with squirrels and shit. I'm like, this is amazing.
It's like adult fetch.
Adult fetch. Go get me I don't know, maybe a horse.
I just go get a trout first, and then come back to your falcon. Like, hey, I want your redneck surf and turf. Go get me a squirrel.
Well, they got like some like National Geographic ones. I saw one of an eagle getting a like a halibut or a flounder or something, which is crazy.
That is
Holy
wild.
shit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't really super deep water; it was clear water.
Yeah.
And like they got the whole scene. They got the eagle circling around, and it saw the flounder. I think it might have been a halibut, and it saw the halibut and just came down right off the bottom of the
Yeah,
the
for a
ocean.
fish
So
that can be
cool.
so incognito, that's like
Right?
really impressive.
Yeah.
'Cause they really can blend in.
Crazy.
That is wild. So, all right, I have another question. When you're talking like 50 feet, right, and you're in a boat and you're drifting along, like, what are you doing to get baits down there? Like,
Not much.
How does really? Because I just think when I think of freshwater, everything's lighter and smaller, and like, how long does it take to sink a bait?
Seen some of the baits I throw?
So I'm wrong, right? Yeah,
Well, I mean, how long do you think it takes for a 3/8 ounce football head? If we're fishing 50 plus feet, the lightest we'll go is 3/8.
Probably
The
10,
vast
15
majority of
seconds.
Okay,
Yeah.
3/8.
Doesn't
So it's-
take too long.
Yeah,
And
it seems like
vertically
a long
jigging
time.
them or casting them out like
Long bomb.
Long
you know,
bomb.
like 150, 200 foot casts.
yeah. I saw something. Does this sound? Yeah, I saw something. I forget what it was. It was a striper thing. And they were talking about some of the freshwater guys are starting to use like really small jig heads, like really small, like 1/8 of an ounce or 1/16 of an ounce, and just putting on little grubs or whatever and dropping them down slow. And it's taking like a minute for it to fall, but they're getting hit on the drop. Yeah. I'm like, wow, that's a really interesting technique. It makes total sense.
Oh, yeah.
Total sense.
I mean, best way to anything.
yeah.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
caught them on Twizzlers. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. Like,
When I
ran
was
out of
fishing up
Senkos.
at Umbagog, I think I'm saying that right. Like
Yep.
there was this rock pile that we found, and I was just using like it was maybe I don't know the weight. It was probably 1/8 ounce or maybe a 1/4 ounce, and it had like the little paddle tail on it. And every time on the drop, just throwing it in, it was dropping down and boom, fish, drop, boom, fish. It was awesome.
I can tell you that New Hampshire Bass Nation is one of the biggest tournament trails in New Hampshire, and they have 4 opens. At the end of the season, they have the STQT, the State Team Qualifying Tournament. If you finish top 10, both boater and co-angler, then you go on to regionals. And from regionals to nationals, if you win nationals, go to the Bassmaster Classic, the Super Bowl of bass fishing.
Yep.
That's where all the pros, like the top pros of the
So we
world,
see
get to.
Charlie Moore,
I
bass
didn't even see Charlie there. Charlie wouldn't even make it through to the STQT. No offense, Charlie.
local legend.
But you know what? I think he's aware of that.
Yeah.
He knows enough, but I don't know if he could get there competing. But anyway, so on that topic of really light stuff, I have a bunch of friends that were fishing it. And I was talking to them because they were there at the weekend before the first tournament for the high school team that I was coaching. So like I already had a good game plan. It's usually really consistent up on winning in the fall. And my game plan is yet to fail me. But I'm talking to one of my buddies. He's like, you wouldn't believe what we were doing. I was throwing a flick shake. So it kind of looks like a wacky rig hook or like a circle hook. It's got a little round head on it. And they are usually like 1/8 of an ounce or lighter. And he was throwing a 1/16 ounce flick shake with a 5-inch like finesse worm. So, you know, kind of long, but really, really thin the whole way through the body in 90 feet of water for smallmouth. And
Wow.
they wouldn't hit it until it got down to about 60, 65 feet. He said it was the longest I ever had to wait for anything to happen. But every fish he pulled up was at least 3 pounds, which doesn't seem like big, but for Winnie that time of the year, and especially smallmouth, that's solid. If you're averaging over 3 pounds of fish, period, that time of the year, you're
that's
usually
awesome.
doing pretty damn good.
Did he catch the first one because he cast and then had to take a leak?
No, you know what? I'm curious. I wouldn't actually be surprised if that was the case. But he was, and he was like, "You got to get your kids out there to do it." I'm like, dude, I can't even get my kids to be patient enough to like deal with a half-ounce weight going down 40 feet. You want me to have them wait that long? It's never gonna happen. And it ended up the day of our tournament. It ended up friggin' monsooning. Literally the worst rain I've ever been out in my boat ever. Like I wouldn't go out in this myself.
Yeah.
Even if I was getting paid. I'm like that. This is where I draw a line. And the wind was ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
the
that
wind
was the
just
day of the
ruins
tournament.
everything. Yeah.
It's by far the worst weather I've ever been in. But yeah, to that point, there's a lot more guys going towards that wicked, like ultra finesse kind of fishing.
Yep.
Super lightweight stuff, really, really small finesse presentations. Because it's kind of the polar opposite of what we're getting more into, which is the big bait stuff. It's just two wildly different ends of the spectrum, but both have their place at certain times and conditions.
Yeah, more casts, more fish. That's what I say. You know? Let it rip. Have you tried using like the Magnum spoons or anything? Like big.
We just started doing that this year.
Nice. Yeah, awesome.
Cool, because so we got picked up by Strike King last year. And we're going through like, all our sponsors, they just give us like a big lump to like play with. So we're going through, we got a shit ton of soft plastics. We use a ton of their plastics. We got a bunch of crankbaits. And Andrew's like, he's like, I wonder if they have big spoons. So we went, look, they have big spoons. So we're like, okay, we ended up getting like 20 of them.
That's awesome.
The day after you guys came fishing with me, I went there the next day. And they weren't really working on the sluggles. They were really hanging down the bottom real tight. We actually had a big group of herring pegged up against the rock pile that we were fishing on. And all the bass were sitting about 50 yards behind it. And we brought out the jigging spoons and we hammered them. It was awesome. It was so much fun. Completely different style of what we were doing in the exact same spot the day before.
Hey, you caught fish?
Well, that day you took us, we went out with you and we went out to the mouth right there. I remember you picked up that spoon. I remember watching you.
Oh, yeah, you got
and the fucking rod slammed down. It's like,
Dude, it's like they catch you. The way they hit on those things was incredible. It's super fun.
I want to
It's a
bring.
blast.
I want to bring like a big glide out. We're going back out with you.
Yes, you do.
I
want to bring a
wanted-
big glide.
Yes, you do.
I have
like-
that one. That one that kind of looks like, yeah.
Like the Gancraft 303. It's a 12-inch bait.
Dude, that's a $300 bait. You can't bring that. I don't know if it'll get down deep enough either. 'cause it's a
Oliver
slow
said if I
float.
lose, he'll give me another one.
Bring it into the flats.
You know what? He probably will, actually.
No, I'm not going to hold
it.
to that. That's expensive.
A bass
Bring it.
will absolutely devour a 12-inch bait.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I fish a lot of 9s and 10s for sure. No problem.
Yeah,
I'm done.
because we fish the 12-inch sluggos, like plastics.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
All right, I'm bringing my glide. I already talked to Dennis. I was like, hey, we're going out with Chris again this spring, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, good.
I can't
He
wait.
told me to give him a couple dates, and I gave him like 4. And literally within like the next 2 hours, I checked, and like 3 of the dates got booked. I'm like, dude, hurry up.
Did he book a date then?
You know what? I don't know if he'd actually gave me a date just yet. So we
I
gotta
told
get
him
on-
just
we
to
gotta
book
get
it.
on.
Damn it, Dennis.
That's funny.
I was like, just let me know. He's like, yeah, sounds good.
I need redemption from last time. I only got one fish.
Did you really?
I was working the shit out of that topwater.
Yeah, you were.
And I was standing on the front of the boat, and I was like, over there! And you're like, "Brr." I'm like, oh, shit. Standing on the fucking bow of the boat.
That's the thing, though, man. If the top water bites on, it's like it's what you guys would all be doing. You know, that's like
Yeah.
I love topwater for
No, it's
snipers.
so awesome. It really is.
I'll make sure I bring my 2 swim bait rods. I'm going to bring top water. So, we got those giant walkers. Remember that we got from Strike King?
Yeah, like the one that I was using from
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Bring that and one of our big glides. Mm-hmm. That'll be fun.
I'll have to pick another one up just for that trip.
What the glides or?
Yeah. Not that one, but
No, yeah. It's another $300 glide. No big deal.
another depths maybe. Because I'm due for a new one anyway.
So yeah, I see that depths would actually probably do exceptionally well. It's got the right sink rate that for over there. I think that would work really well.
It would. I have to crank it fast.
So what is it? Explain it to me. Is it just
Glide
a
bait?
a glide bait?
It's just single jointed,
yeah.
and you can go slow with it. You can go fast with it. You can kind of jerk and it'll kind of do big glides.
Okay. And what's it? Just go a little bit underwater? Is it a top water
Get
thing?
different like sink rates. You can
However
get
you
ones.
do
You
it.
can even get top water ones. You can get ones that sink like a rock, so you have to really crank them fast.
Is that kind of like a new style lure that's come out recently? Like
No.
at
It's
least the
definitely not
term, the
new.
glide bait.
It's definitely not new, but is definitely more popular than it used to be.
Yeah, I
sure.
feel like it's the bait that when you're at like an expo, it's the one they're throwing in the big tank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The action.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
crazy. Like when you watch it swim, because it has like a natural sashaying and glide action too. That's why I call it a glide bait. So when you work it just right, it literally looks like a fish, like just smooth as butter, swimming this perfect little S turns back and forth. And it's just kind of easy fishing. Totally different when it comes to actually catching fish, but the amount of fish it calls out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any other bait call out fish like I have a 10 to 12 inch glide.
Wow.
I don't understand it. It's stupid. I've seen more big fish follow his glide in the last year than I have seen personally in my life chase anything else.
Wow.
It's
yeah.
stupid.
It's a
And they're
presentation.
big.
Right?
They're all big.
They're all
It'd
big.
be a great herring presentation that time of year when we
Yeah.
have like those 7 and 8, 9-inch herrings swimming around.
I got a rainbow trout one. So
Yeah,
the steelhead
great
run.
color.
That
Great
one-
color.
That one Brian gave me was like almost perfect herring imitation. That's an 8-inch glide.
Yeah.
And that one's actually got a
Oh, yeah.
decent sink rate too. I'm gonna throw the shit out of that thing.
Absolutely.
This could be
Absolutely.
fun.
Oh, I can't wait to try them out.
I got a giant whopper. Oh no, I gave that to Jackson.
You go get it back.
A Whopper Plopper?
Dude, it's huge.
Dude, I've always wanted to try one. I never pulled the trigger on
It's not like the little ones where it's like plop, 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 plop.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like fuck, fuck, fuck.
it. You ever seen a Whopper Plopper?
no.
Dude, so it looks like the front end is like a spook, right?
Yeah.
Like a dildo with a tail.
Yeah. but the back end, it's like a propeller. So when you reel it in, it spins around and goes plop, 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 plop.
It's
Yeah,
big.
Larry Dahlberg made
I'll have to see if I can get that back from him just for
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. The Whopper Plopper.
That's coming back too.
Yeah, I have I always thought, what I always wanted to do? I always wanted to rig it up for tuna. And like, because back in the day, we used to troll like sluggos for like 50-pound tunas. And like, we put little birds on there to cause a splash. And I remember just thinking, like, man, I wonder if a Whopper Plopper out
I
there
bet that would get absolutely
fucking
demolished.
crush. I bet it would.
Dude, are you kidding me?
I don't know if they'd be able to handle
Or
it.
buzzbait?
I don't really, because I never really seen one in person. I've only seen them I've seen the Hunt for Big Fish. Those guys fish it, but that's about
Dude,
it.
you should try.
How are they
throwing buzzbait.
constructed? Is it like is it wire
It's
inside?
gotta probably
Is it-
be a through wire. I would think. Now
It
I'm
is.
thinking
It's
about
just
it.
a through wire with the bait goes over the through wire, and then on the
Okay.
back it's got the prop with the hook.
Does River to Sea make them now? Is that
Yep.
who makes them? Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably. I would say they're by far the most popular brand.
Yeah.
And
And then by far the most copied bait.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
But when they first came out, like they exploded. Like people started catching fish on left, right. It was an easier way than fishing a buzzbait because it floated. But it had that same impact that a buzzbait would give you. Just didn't like it was brainless in how you could work the thing. Just bomb it out and reel it in. It just did all the work for you. Versus the buzzbait where you gotta kind of finagle it a little bit and you have to maintain the right pace to get the right sound out of it. Buzzbait's just it just goes.
So I don't know if you heard me mention the name Larry Dahlberg. Do you know who that is?
I do.
Yeah. So the Hunt for Big Fish back in the day, they used to have Saltwater Sundays on ESPN and be saltwater fishing, and he was one of the fishing hosts. And one of the things that they used to do would he'd go in his workshop, and he was a big lure maker, and he made the Whopper Plopper, the Mr. Wiggly, which is River to Sea makes that as well now, and then. Probably, I don't know, at some point in time, maybe like 10 years ago, I think he sold all his designs to River to Sea, and they make all his baits and stuff now.
Oh shit.
So
pretty cool.
like it's like available. But like if you go back, I don't know if they're on YouTube. I'm sure they are. You could probably find him like actually in his shop making all these lures out of like plastisol and pouring his rubbers and describing how he rigs up Mr. Wiggly's in different ways. It's really cool, man. It's
It's
really,
really
cool.
cool. I love watching those bait making shows. I
was
watch
saying
them
that-
like almost every night.
Yeah. Do you make your own baits?
No,
at all?
I've tried.
You did make one.
I did.
Yeah, remember that giant wake bait? Your rat? Not really a rat. Just like that giant wooden plug thing.
I wanted to. I wanted to make like just a topwater wake bait thing. So I took literally a dowel, cut a joint in it, I wanted to make it pop too.
Yep.
So I hollowed out the front of it so like a popper. And I
Yeah.
put a lip, put a lip on it, and I threw some hooks in it, and it actually worked really well. It was literally just a
Did you
cylinder.
call it the Woody?
I don't even remember what the fuck I called it.
I don't remember.
Stupid.
You did have some like stupid but hilarious name for it. For life, I can't remember what it was now because you haven't thrown it in like 2 years.
The wobbly sausage. What was that? No, that
think-
was.
I think it was.
The best name I ever heard. I was a freshman football, and my coach knew like we were big fishermen. He's friends with my father and stuff. So we have practice on Monday. He goes, "Hey Chris, V, did you go fishing this weekend?" I go, yeah. He goes, what's your favorite lure? I go, oh, probably a sluggo. And he goes, oh, I like the blue vein wobbler. You know what I mean?
I think you
I know, back then, I guess you can get away with those jokes.
Fortunately, not anymore.
no.
That'd be level 3 now.
Definitely not. Actually, we might have to edit that out.
I get sent to Ohio.
Oh my god! So I was going through your Instagram before you guys came over, and I saw there was one of the reels. The boat was in the garage. It looks like you have a pretty badass electronic setup. Is that like a Helix 15? Is that what that is? What is that?
Lowrance HDS Live
Lowrance.
16.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but and then above it is the Helix 9. So
Gotcha.
the HDS 16 is for active target and it takes up about 14 inches of screen. About the last 2 inches, I've got split vertical, top and bottom half. Traditional 2D sonar and then map below that. And I had a lot of my friends are like, you're stupid. You don't need to run regular transducer if you have live. These people don't understand
Oh, it's
that.
a big difference.
There's a huge difference. And, when you're depending upon what you run your frequency at, you get a broader cone angle with your traditional 2D sonar that you can't get with active target because that's a very, very narrow beam. And I was like, okay, really simple. You're fishing deep water, you're not going to be able to see every fish. Unless you're constantly spinning your live around, you're not going to be able to see every fish versus I can still stay focused on what I'm trying to see at a distance. And then my traditional 2D sonar, if something comes under the boat within 20 feet of the boat, I'm still going to be able to see that. And a lot of these people don't understand that. I understood that even before I had my job. But now with my current job, I really understand that now. I work for a company in Milford that they sell transducers. They build transducers. So you probably know the company.
What is it?
Airmar.
You work for Airmar?
Yes, I do.
Oh, boy, we got to talk.
You guys would have lost your shit. I was working for Airmar down at the Miami International Boat Show 2 weeks ago.
awesome.
Oh, were you down there? Oh, man.
Dude, there was like over $100 million worth of boats down there. And it was
it's
fucking
amazing.
ridiculous.
It was amazing. I was talking to him. I was like, you would have lost your shit down there too. The place was cool. They had, I don't even remember what brand of boats they were.
Did you
But
see Midnight Express? Did you see Midnight
I'm pretty
Express?
sure I
Oh,
did.
yeah.
But there was like 3 boats down there looked just like that, like same build out and everything. I'm like, wow, that's cool. But they were like sports car colors. They had a red one, red lights everywhere, a green one, and an orange one. And like walk down the row, and I'm like, holy shit, these boats are awesome. There's probably like a $500,000 boat, whatever. And I walk back and then go around the other side. And I look over, and they parked a Lamborghini that was the same exact orange as the boat beside it. I was like, huh.
Back to the boat, you're
cool
like,
shit.
maybe it's $1 million.
Must
Buy one, get one.
I got to go to the Fort Lauderdale boat show a couple of years ago. Man, I just couldn't believe some of the shit I saw down there. It's like, oh my god, I love my boat. My boat's perfect, but like they didn't have anything smaller than 30 feet, even at the docks, at the slips. You know what I mean? It was insane.
I think the smallest boats they had was for Skeeter.
Yeah.
Like Skeeter had a bunch of like their flats boats out there or whatever. So like still center consoles, but like really, really kind of
Yeah, like a bay boat.
yeah, like smaller.
They're really
low
popular
top to bottom.
down south for that type of fishing.
Yeah, it's like Skeeter itself had a pretty good area, and then as soon as you get out of that, like you said, it's like 30 plus feet across the board. It's like walking around. I'm like,
Then the mega yachts, all the non-fishing boats.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
there was
Wolf of
too
Wall
much
Street
money down
boats.
there.
Yeah, right.
I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stand here in my transducer booth, and this is my world.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, all right. So I want you to kind of expand on that too, because that's something I always tell people too. So, that live target. So, is that the forward facing one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure what Lowrance's terminology.
So Lowrance is active target, Garmin
Active target.
is live scope, and then Humminbird is Mega Live.
Mega Live, right? So, and same thing too, like, that's why I run my 2D a lot, because I can split the different frequencies and get the 2 different cones, as opposed to when I'm just running my my side imaging or my down imaging specifically. You only kind of have that one frequency to kind of go through and get that same cone. So people always ask me, which one do you run? I'm like, well, I run both of them. You know, I run my 2D and I run that one, but I'm mostly looking at my 2D most of the time, because I'm just experienced with it. Like, I really know what I'm looking at there.
Yeah.
You know, I'll use the down imaging just to kind of differentiate, maybe is it fish or something else, like a rock or a weed pile or something. But like from my 2D, I can tell like what type of fish it is, kind of the size of it, where it's hanging out a little bit more. And like I said, I'll change the cone, whether I'm shallow or deep, depending on what I'm doing. So I think that's a really important thing people can understand if they understand the electronics, how to maximize it the best that they can.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we use literally every screen on that boat.
Yeah.
A lot.
Side imaging, Mega 360 on my Humminbird.
How do you like it? I'm thinking about putting one on my next
360?
boat.
360,
Yeah.
get it.
Dude, you can
Just get it.
You can wax eloquent about that.
Just
Go for it.
fucking get it.
Yeah.
How about that?
No
Wax
shit.
your ass with that. No, it's like we'll pull up on a spot like looking at 2D, and you'll look down and you'll see how it's kind of rocky and whatever, and it goes down the other side. With the 360, you look down, you can see it from, I don't know how far does that max out at?
150 feet diameter, so 75 feet radius.
So you can
Okay.
see 75 feet in front of you. As that thing spins around, you see literally rock pile, and you can see each individual rock
Yeah.
on the screen, looking at like an overview.
And then even 75 feet, that's casting distance easily,
yeah.
right? So you can just stand up there and cast to those situations. That's awesome. Does it work if you spot lock as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It works better when you're spot locked because the
kidding.
moment you start moving,
Yeah.
you're kind of like trying to paint a moving picture, and it doesn't
Gotcha.
really work. So we're constantly spot locked and looking at it. If we're moving around a lot more, I'll shorten up the range, so
Yeah.
it's only like 40 feet out for radius,
so it shoots quicker.
and I'll max out the range. The update speed is speeds 1 through 6.
Yeah.
And it's just you lose a lot of clarity when you're doing that because it's just wiping by so fast. But you just at least. It depends on the
feel.
body of water.
Yeah.
If you're out in a like typical glacial lake, it's kind of like nothing, and then you get some rocks, and then you get random vegetation. So it's perfect for things like that because where you have just nice sandy bottom for a long range, and all of a sudden, like a rock pile, even at that max range, can stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. Like even when I'm like fishing the flats and stuff like that, you can find those little holes, those little rock piles that just happen to be there that you might not that aren't marked on a chart or you might not know about. But having that 360 view and seeing exactly where it is just makes total sense.
It's nice because you can see the deep water in it too. Like, you can
Correct.
tell where it drops off. It's like holding a flashlight on like a bent piece of paper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you see the paper as it goes across, and then it just kind of gets dark.
Yeah, it just gets dark on that side, and
Yeah,
that's how
'cause-
you know.
Because it can't. The frequency can't bounce back.
Correct.
From that, it just kind of shoots off or doesn't bounce back quite as fast.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. It seems like any situation that I would have my trolling motor in the water, it would be dynamite for.
Yeah, if you don't have it on when you have troll motor in the water, you're fucking up.
When, especially for saltwater.
Well, you
guys,
need the
for
trolling motor in the water to do it, right? It attaches to the trolling motor, or can you put it on the hull?
You know, at one point
sure
they
they
actually
did
had a
that.
transit-mounted version, kind of like the Minn Kota Talon, where it like scoped out. They
Yeah.
had a version like that. I don't know
Okay.
if they still make it or not. So as far as I know, the only thing they do make is a trolling motor mounted version.
Yeah, gotcha.
I will tell you though, like for freshwater, like our fish are obviously a lot smaller than what you would typically get in for saltwater. And if I dial it in just right, so instead of getting the whole 360-degree circle, I will bias it. So I only get the front 180.
Yeah.
And then I can turn into wiper mode. Oops, jeez. So it'll just back and forth. And I'll shorten up the distance to like 30 feet and I'll max out the speed. And with the practiced, well-trained eye, even in shallow water, I can see fish moving inside of that range.
You'll just see a dot.
You'll see the
kinda
dot moving.
around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, we've taken my boat down, and I don't even want to say the specific area, but southern New England, and fished for winter holdover stripers. Dude, with how easy it is to see stripers on that thing, it is stupid. So when you're talking about bigger fish, you could max that thing out. You can get the full range on it, and then as you're trolling around where you are, you'll be able to see anything inside of that 150-foot range.
Yeah, it's
or
not like you gotta
75-foot
use
range from the
side
boat.
imaging as you're going and then be like, oh, they're over there, and then spin the boat around. You can literally just kind of go around and you can see them. They're 75 feet that way. Okay.
Yeah, just like turn and cast. Like
Yeah, it's nice
dude,
you can get it ahead of you rather than have to
Right.
deal with it behind you.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's almost
Killer for
live
trolling.
at that point.
Yeah.
Especially if you have it maxed out, like full speed range, like even like stripers are big enough, you're still gonna be able to see those pretty
Yeah.
damn
You
easy.
got
I mean,
pretty
I
good
like
mark.
to troll with my trolling motor. So
Yeah, I do a lot of my trolling motor now too.
yeah.
Yeah, and like it's
It'd be a
nice
good
because we'll be.
investment.
It really is. We'll be fishing along, and I'll see something 360, and I'll just point back to him. I'll be like, "Oh, the rock pile," and I'll be like, I'll look down, click math it out, make it's 55 feet, and I'll either hold my arm out or I'll just kind of stand to the side, and I'll lay my rod down across my graph, like butt end just on the very edge, and then the rest of the 7-foot rod sticking out, and he kind of looks over.
Yep.
How many big fish have we caught from doing exactly that?
A lot.
Oh, it's stupid. We owe the majority of our big fish that we've caught in the last 2 years, specifically 360, because we can see structure and cast like precisely to it from a distance, which is just an invaluable asset to have.
I mean, I just think about how much my side scan's done the same thing for me, the side imaging, and you just see so many fish or so many structures just where they are and where they relate to you that you might not pick up immediately on the chart, but when you see it right there on your graph, it's like you know it's there. You're good to go. You know, take your shot.
Yep.
You know, I can't even imagine if it's in front of you, like Dan said, and not having to turn
So you
around
actually can
back
just
on it.
get ready.
Yeah.
You can just jump up, grab your rod, and go instead of having to turn the boat around or back up or do whatever.
Yep.
Almost sounds like a cheaper option than a tower, Dan.
Yeah, seriously. You don't even need your eyes, you know? Oh, just to see the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can interlink and share that. So if say you put a MFD up front at the bow with the trolling motor, so you could actually stand up there and look at it while you're doing it. You can interlink a 360 image from that back to the one at your helm too.
Yeah,
which is pretty nice.
But it has to be a Humminbird unit, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do it cross
Nope.
MFDs. Yeah. So, cool. I don't know. What else we got, guys? I'm excited. I want to do some bass fishing the next couple of weeks if I get an opportunity.
I know.
It'd be
Chris
sweet.
Chris got his dad all this like ice fishing shit for Christmas, so obviously we have no ice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, thank you.
I was getting ready I wanted to go catch lake trout through the ice this year, and I just,
Never panned out.
Nope.
Dude, he called it, you know, like sometime around November. He's like, I want to get into ice fishing this year. Let's go ice fishing. I'm like, all right. Usually I just kind of go with my buddies who got all the shit because, you know, they come on my boat for salt water. So I'm hopping on their freshwater game here.
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, I kind of want to do it. I want to get the whole kit and caboodle. So we all like pitched in and got like everything you needed for ice fishing. And, you know, it's Christmas morning. And he's just like, yeah, he goes, we're not going to get any ice now. Fuck it. We're not going to go. I'm not even going to unwrap the rest of this. Yeah, he called that one.
that's funny.
Not unless you drive 2 hours for it. That's the thing. Like we could have gone, but
Yeah.
I don't want to drive an hour and a half to go walk a half an hour out across the ice.
No,
Yeah, dude, it
we'd rather
doesn't move
drive
the needle
3
for
hours
me.
south to
Yeah.
go on open water.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, January 2nd, we drove up to frickin' Mallett's Bay on Champlain. We fished open water January 2nd. Someone's like,
shit.
you want ice fishing? I'm like, I would literally rather drive twice that distance to go fish open water.
And we did.
Pretty good day, too.
How's the fishing? Good?
Not as good as we had hoped, but not
Caught
bad.
my first channel cat.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Dude,
sweet.
That was stupid. There's one, like, Mallett's has a bunch of humps out there, and I've heard that their fish, it was a little late in the year for it. We should have been deeper, but there were still fish there. And we were fishing one, and like the main lake side of it, it dropped like almost cliff-like. And every time we've gone up there, and he said it like 2 or 3 times today, he's like, dude, I really want to catch a catfish. Because we know guys do it at this time of the year, especially like Connecticut River. I know a couple of guys that like, they catch a ton of catfish. And I just see him out of the corner of my eyes bouncing that blade bait, and almost just like, he's like, well, I don't know what I have, but it's huge.
I think it had to have been around 10 pounds.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
it was pretty big.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, that freaking, it was big. Like, it's so heavy. You got a picture.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure I still have a picture of that, and I really hope I do. I don't see why not.
Send it over to me. We'll throw it up on the.
Dude,
on
it
the file.
thumped
Oh, it's
it.
right there.
It was in like
at that.
55 feet.
Son of a bitch. That's a best of. I don't want a best of. Just show me the damn picture.
It was in like 55 feet of water. And I was
kidding.
bouncing a blade bait off the bottom.
And just totally unexpected? Were
And
you,
I was just kind of like, I don't know,
oh, look at that.
kind of
thing.
being dumb, and it just
Oh,
thumped
that's
it.
awesome.
Catfish Hunter. What movie?
Yeah, that was a cool fish.
Dude, that was a really cool fish.
Grumpy Old Man.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I
Catfish
haven't
Hunter?
watched that in
Oh, yeah.
ages.
I know. I gotta watch that.
It was like Frank of the Beans.
Playing the old the sausage.
The old baloney pony.
I've been to Hawaii. What
One
island?
eye to the optometrist.
What island? Come on, I want to lay ya. Dad, you should stop smoking. I'm 92 years old. What the hell do I care?
I sucked the bacon grease off my plate every day for 93 years.
I eat bacon for lunch and bacon for dinner, and I have whiskey with it, and I'm still here.
It's genuine, not imitation leather.
So good. Chris, what else we got?
Man,
You guys have anything coming up? Anything
Yeah.
you want to talk about? Any tourneys? Any what
Jesus Christ, what don't we have coming?
We got
Yeah.
2023 coming up.
Yeah.
That's what we
There you
got.
go.
Dude. So next up is the New Hampshire Outdoor Expo, which actually I believe there's some saltwater stuff there. There's a lot of freshwater stuff. There's a lot of stuff for hunters. Like it covers the whole gamut. We have our own booth there for real northern bass. We'll be there all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for myself.
that's next
Andrew.
weekend, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a week from today.
I think I'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Maybe Friday too.
I think so.
All right, neat. So, well, at the very least, myself all 3 days, Andrew, Saturday, Sunday, definitively, maybe Friday too. We've got a ton of apparel we're selling, decals, hats, t-shirts, hoodies. We're doing seminars Saturday and Sunday. Trying to think, we're doing a casting competition on Saturday. I forget what time, but we got a bunch of stuff doing that. And then the following weekend, we'll be working the Northeast Swim Bait Expo, and that will be in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. And that one we're not doing for our own brand. We're representing two of our sponsors, Defiant Fishing, swim baits and fishing line, and then Big Bass Streams, which is apparel.
Awesome.
So we'll be working a booth to represent those two brands while we're there. And I will probably spend money on a big bait while I'm there because I'm an idiot. And
I probably will too.
for big bait anglers, like that is an awesome show to go to.
Let's not even talk about gear acquisition.
Dude, it's been a long winter. It's been a long winter.
Yeah, seriously.
Between you and Fallon right now, I can't get through the day without like 6 text messages from each of them. Like, oh, what about this? Just get this. Yep. I had to drop off something to the bait shop today. I walked out of there spending $120 on a new Grundon's jacket. So, it just doesn't stop.
No,
Doesn't
No.
stop.
never ends. After that, though, we're free and clear until May. Then we go on a trip with Dennis actually up to Champlain for a few days.
Nice.
First big turn of the year is in June. Plunder Bay Open up on Champlain. I am signing up for one solo big tournament in July up on Champlain. Then we Candlewood Fishing Camp. We're guiding for a week. It's just it's going to be pretty hectic for the first couple months, and then after that, hopefully, just a lot of travel. The goal is to get up to Maine a lot this year.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
for sure. Actually, before we go, there's one thing I do want to talk to you about. You mentioned you coach a high school fishing team.
I did, not anymore. I did it for the last 4 seasons.
Okay.
So his name is Sawyer. He was a subscriber to the YouTube channel, right? And this was like early on. It was 4 years ago now. And he was going into his senior year of high school, and he was on the bass fishing team. And their coach retired, so he just reached out to him. He's like, "Hey, man, our coach retired. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually, I would." There was one year I helped out with the New Hampshire Junior Bass Masters. They have this deal on Wentworth Lake, and there's the Wentworth State Park. So the state park has an agreement with the Junior Bass Masters. You come up and you do like all like the spring cleanup landscaping stuff, and then we'll waive all your facility fees for the summer. So as a reward, parents and people in the New Hampshire Junior Bass Masters that help organize it, they reach out to a bunch of family and friends. Can you come up for a few hours, take these kids out as like a reward at the end of the day? I got asked up. I went. I had a blast. 2 14-year-old kids. So when this opportunity came up, I was like, hell yeah, I'll jump on that.
Sweet.
And first 3 years were phenomenal. Last year was kind of so-so. I definitely should have handled it better. Not that I handled it poorly. It just kind of, it didn't go the way I had hoped, and the way I can't even say anything more because I know people are going to take it the wrong way. But I get it. They're 16-year-old kids. They got their licenses. They got girlfriends. Like, I get it. The focus just wasn't there, and I was discouraged and disappointed by it. Very small part of that played into it for me resigning.
Yeah.
But the big thing was like this was the year we were finally gonna be like, okay, we're gonna do a tournament trail. And typically there's only 2 tournaments that we actually are obligated to do as high school captains or coaches, and that's the championship qualifying tournament, and then the top 33% of finishing teams in that go to the state championship. And they're always right about the same time as like the state team qualifying tournament for New Hampshire Bass Nation or like some other big club open. So I was like, you know what? I don't know what the season's going to look like other than that's going to be an issue. And I'll take a year off and see how I feel the year after. And if I can, I'll pick up another school.
Yeah.
So it was good. I regret how I kind of vented about the scene when I was done after that one tournament we did this last year. It was unfortunate. But aside from that, I really enjoyed the experience. It's cool. I had some really great kids. pretty much all 4 years that we did it, especially last year, is this one kid named Dylan, and he was just fucking fired up every time we were out there, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was hyper focused, and he was like constantly asking questions. He was just really inquisitive. Like, he genuinely was like, dude, I want to learn. Like, I will listen to you talk about anything and everything all day. Teach me, please. And
As
now,
a coach, that's the best, isn't it?
yeah.
I love when I get kids like that out in the boat.
Oh,
when
yeah.
I was coaching kids in football like that. Like, that's what it's about. You just wish everyone was like that all the time.
oh yeah,
you know?
but like he wasn't just asking questions for the sake of questions either. Like, you could tell he was processing it and then like tuning into like, okay, now I need to execute on it, and he would do it. And that's always really cool to see. But now his nephew is going to be a freshman in high school next year. This year coming up, and that's only one town over from us. So I don't know. There's a small part of me like, if that coaching gig becomes open,
Yeah.
I got to go for it, because I know the two kids that were on that school, they're both graduating this year. So and they were on the team all the last 4 years. I know one of the kids. He's a hammer. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So with them gone, it's kind of like clean slate for who can be on the team. So that's the only opportunity I would consider, that just for this year. Next year, kind of a little more wide open.
Yeah. That's so cool. Like, growing up, I
know,
wish
that's
we
amazing.
had some sort of fishing team,
Same.
man. That would have been
Yeah, we all do.
sick, dude.
Oh, well,
Right?
because you're 31 now?
30.
32.
What year is
Yeah,
it?
you start to forget after you're
2023. Yeah, seriously.
30. Yeah.
32.
Okay, so we're 6 years apart, and so you just missed it. Milford,
I know.
where we went, was one of the
Bullshit.
schools that was like the earliest adopters. Once New Hampshire brought it in to
yeah.
the NHIAA, then Milford was one of the first schools to adopt it. And I think you missed it by like a year or two, and I missed it by like 6 or 7 years. So I was
So
really upset
wrong.
when I heard about it, but I was like, oh, well, it'd be kind of cool to get involved in the coaching aspect. So I got a few friends that are still doing it.
To know how much I was fishing back then still, and like wonder where the hell I would be today.
Yeah, well, it's kind of crazy too when you think about it. I mean, at least like in saltwater, like if you're a kid around here growing up, like you have opportunities to work as a mate, like on a party boat.
Like that's
or work on the
that was
docks.
my dream, was to work on a fishing boat.
Dude, it was my favorite job I've ever had,
Oh.
working as a mate. It was so much fun. You know, when you're there, it might not seem like it's the most fun in the
Yeah,
world.
then you look back, and
But
you're
you
like,
look
"That
back,
was sick as
dude.
fuck, dude."
Dude, you were fishing like 80 hours a week every day, and that's all you had to do was just fish and clean the boat, fish and clean the boat, and it was just an experience. Like a lot of my best friends I met in those boats. A lot of people that were clients,
And then the customers,
regulars.
yeah, like the
Yeah.
characters, it must have been awesome.
I was like
so
16,
cool.
and my mom's like, "You got your license, you got a car, go to the harbors and ask if they need help." I'm like, I'm going out there. I was like, kicking myself from not doing it. But whatever.
Dude, there was a kid that just posted something on one of the Merrimack fisherman forums on Facebook looking for a mating job or something. He must have got like 85 responses like within an hour. But
Holy
people
crap.
just like, oh yeah, good for you. You know, here's some places to look and things like that. I know I always get a few calls every winter for something like that, and I try to steer them in the right direction of where they can go and pick something up, and because that's what it's about. These younger kids, if they get a good influence in their life and they have a good experience, they end up being psychopaths like us one day.
Yeah, right. I mean, we are all a little. Yeah, we're out there. We're all fucked.
There's something a little different. You guys probably get this too. Like, we bring a lot of people on for podcasts, a lot of people who are pretty good at this and pretty dedicated at it. And that's one thing I found, even like people I don't even know, but people I've like looked up to or heard about. And everyone just says the same things that you guys have tonight. Like, we're always trying to learn, no matter how good you are. We're always trying to find new techniques, new spots. I have a group of small people I talk to, and we compare things back and forth. And what's really cool, like you were saying, Sean, is like you started off like kind of as you were learning. So you have like this whole thing documented in a neat way. And people who have been with you since the beginning, watching YouTube videos, probably have seen that and grown with you as well. And you meet a lot of friends that way. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Actually, I mean, now I think about it, two of our really close friends, Dennis and our friend Travis, I met because I started the channel.
Yeah.
And Dennis I met through Facebook. Travis I met before. Travis lived one town over from us. And I was posting to the bass fishing subreddit. And same deal. He would one day he was like, "So you're from New Hampshire. I'm pretty sure I recognize a couple of these spots you posted pictures from. Like, were you here and here?" And I was like, "Actually, yeah, no shit, I was." And he's like, "Dude, I'm from Mount Vernon. I'm one town over from you." And I was like, "Oh." And he's like, "You want to go fishing sometime?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I remember I was talking about it with our buddy Jared Forns. And it was at another one of our friends' wedding. And somehow this came up. And Jared looked at me. He's like, "So you're gonna go fishing with a total stranger?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, he's an angler. It's fine."
It's different.
Yeah, we get
It's okay.
something in common.
He's like, "I will come with you to make sure you're safe." I'm like, "No. We're all the same kind of crazy, so we're not in danger."
Dude, isn't that the craziest thing, right?
It really is.
I'll have like a Facebook friend request and I'll be like, "Ooh, good looking girl," and then there'd be some old dude with a shitty fish. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm friending this dude. I trust him."
I'm just ugly enough that I know if
Exactly.
if a pretty girl friend requests me, I know that shit's
Yeah,
fake.
I'm like, spam. Those hackers could fuck me though if they hold me a nice striper.
Literally.
So,
That's awesome.
all right, fellas. Hey, man, thanks a lot. Thanks for coming out. It was great to see you guys again.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
glad, checking out the YouTube channel. It's awesome stuff. It's very entertaining, So, as somebody who's just starting this kind of journey, we look up to you, and hopefully one day have the reach that you guys do and have as much fun.
You already got
You
all
guys
the
are
gear.
awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the same.
You're
gear
off on
we
the right
got.
start. That's for sure.
You just got to get the camera to fucking work.
See, this is where all you come in, all your supporters. Donate to the cause. Sony A6400 comes with a 15 to, I think, 50 millimeter lens.
Yeah,
It's
something
like
like that.
$950. Now, if all of you pitch in just a little bit, you can easily and quickly reach that, and
That's how we got
Golden.
ours.
Golden.
All our subs bought our camera for us.
it did. It was fantastic. They also
buy
bought us
these
that
guys a
too, the
camera.
Roadcaster.
Yeah, this thing's been pretty sweet.
Oh, dude, that thing is worth its weight in
Once
gold.
I sit around and actually play to figure out exactly what it does, it's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
I know. We still have to preload our sounds in here too, like
Oh, yeah.
like all the the drag sound.
peeling,
Yeah.
engine
It's the only
revving.
one I want. I'll just sit here and be like,
The wicked tuna beeps. Beep, 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 beep.
Chris will look at me and go, "What else we got?" And I'll just go,
All right.
"That's great,
Fellas, Sean
Yeah,
and
good
Andrew,
times, guys.
Real Northern Bass. Check them out on YouTube. Great guys, great fishermen, and awesome to talk to. Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
Had a
Yeah,
great
thanks for having
time.
us on, boys. We appreciate it.